Good day, mate. I'm going to discuss a chess game I played today against an anonymous guy. I was anonymous as well because apparently I just found out if I didn't sign in at lichess.org, I can play with anyone without having to worry about who they are or who I am. And unfortunately, it doesn't actually affect any rating because you don't sign it, of course. There is no registered rating. And this is the first time I created a study, and I think it's quite fantastic. And we can put a lot of comments, and there are some people to be chatting there. I haven't really used this feature a lot, but let's just have a look on the game itself. I believe I was black, and my opponent was white. We were playing around 20 minutes classical game, and in this game there are some themes that I can bring out, which is exposing pins and the weakness of king safety when it's actually castling king side. And let's just have a look at the game itself. So the opponent started with e3, and then I of course opened with f5, which is Van Scrooge opening, which is a Dutch name, I suppose. D4, continue with knight f6, of course, with the idea of in case the queen of white goes to that square there, which I just tapped. Hopefully, um, it is recorded in the recording, and then there is a knight that is protecting it at f6. Bishop e2, and then e6, of course, trying to free the bishop at f8. c4 there, bishop b4 checking, and of course at the same time freeing the space of f8 and g8 for my black king to castle kingside. Now this check is of course tempo move, I suppose, in case white is blocking it. But in this case, because white is blocking it using its bishop, which is bishop d2, then I have to move my bishop back because I don't want to exchange my bishop. From my experience, pair of bishop is usually better than bishop and knight, or pair of knights, or just one bishop basically in attacking um, the the enemy's king side. So I tend to keep my bishop pair, and I would sacrifice my knight for knight if it's required. But I tend to keep my bishop pair to attack the enemy's stronghold effectively. So I move my bishop back to e6 there. Sorry, not e6, e7. And then what happened was c5 was moved, and then I just castle king side to secure my king and to start to launch attack. All right, let's keep going. And then knight f3 was moved by white, which is of course, developing the pieces or building the attack. And I moved b6 there with the idea of fianchettoing the light square bishop, because I predicted that the white king will castle kingside, and because that is expected, I will attack that area by fianchettoing, of course, my bishop to b7, which makes sense, of course, as which is the whole idea of this variation of opening, planning to focus on attacking the enemy's king side and trying to weaken it by a pair of bishop if I can, and of course at the same time, if that area is crammed, I can build the attack on the queen side as well by maybe moving my rook to c file. Maybe it's gonna be a semi-open file or something like that. I'm not really sure. See how it goes. Now b4 was move is probably trying too early to build on the queen side, but you never know. Maybe it's an effective thing. I just continue on with bishop b7 with the idea of fianchettoing the and attacking the area of g2, and of course if white castle, which happened in the game, which is castling kingside, which is the move number 9, which happens in the game. So b takes c5 there, just simplifying, and b takes c5, knight c6, of course developing the knight at the same time, um, probably trying to connect the rook at the 8th rank with the queen and also the other rook, which is the I believe this is like a fully developed pieces, minor pieces, and starting to get into the middle game. Now knight c3 there, of course, developing the pieces, nothing special. Now I challenge the knight there, and of course, which the whole idea is actually trying to attack d2, the bishop at d2, and I'd love to do that because I believe my bishop pair should be winning, and in case knight takes, which happened in the game, knight takes e4, then I can do f takes e4. F takes e4, I believe, is very good because it is taking a piece back at the same time as attacking knight at f3, which is of course a tempo move. A tempo move is a move that is winning in time or in tempo, because the opponent has to directly pay attention to that, and it's sort of like a semi-forcing move, or it's like not really forcing move, like as in check, or a sacrifice that needs a certain full attention, but it is a tempo move because whatever white does, it has to be paying attention to the attack knight. And now knight goes to e5 there, which of course makes sense. The other only square is actually knight goes to e1, and I believe maybe white doesn't want to do this, but of course I take the knight with e5 there, and then d takes e5, bishop takes c5 there is actually what I did. It is winning a pawn there, which is an advantage. Now queen goes to c2, which with the idea, of course, is attacking the bishop that I just moved to take a pawn, which is at c5, and of course I have to uh, move my bishop back, and I choose to go to b6. Bishop goes to b6 because at the same time I'm going to free my queen, so it doesn't have to defend the c7 pawn at all time. Now queen goes to b3. Of course, this is I believe a good pin, I suppose, at e6, but I think it's not quite strong enough. Um, in case I just think it's not the strongest move that what can do. What can instead develop its other piece, which is the rook, or maybe trying to develop its bishop somewhere just to start building on attack. Queen g5 there is hoping to attack the pawn at e5, at the same time trying to eye the pawn at g2 there. Bishop c3 is of course protecting the pawn at e5, and I move my rook to f5 with the idea of trying to sort of configure um, if I can create a battery attacking either the pawn at g2 or h2, and it's just a try. And what really happened was queen goes to d1 there. it is probably attacking the pawn at d7, and simply I just move my bishop to c6 just to protect this pawn. And bishop g4 there is a good move, I suppose. It's just attacking the rook at f5, and I just move my rook to f7, and then bishop goes to h5. Move back my rook to f5. This happens all the time. I move back. This is like a repetition move, and now white actually try to do something else, which is g3, and now I battery my rook, which is rook at a goes to f8. Now bishop goes to e1 is sort of I can understand the purpose is trying to protect the pawn at f2, but in my opinion this is a blunder because there are some pins and some discovered attack because of the pins that is not really obvious, but not if it's realized by white, white wouldn't actually do that. For example, the next move, which is bishop takes e3. So if white dares to move the pawn to take e3, then of course my rook battery, which you can see from here, which is rook at f7, rook at f8 can actually take the rook at f1, and white kings will be really hopeless, I suppose, afterwards, because it is really a strong attack. Now h4 is move, of course, trying to either queen, and it is inaccurate because I simply can move my queen to takes e5. And from here it's actually all over. I have won 2 pawns so far. Now rook goes to e2, doesn't really affect anything. It doesn't really actually attack my bishop at all. I simply utilize the situation by taking g3 check. This pawn is actually pinned by so many ways. It's pinned in the vertical direction as well as in the horizontal direction, and it cannot actually take my queen because this bishop is actually pinning the pawn at the same time. The rook is actually pinning the rook there, so it is double pins, and it's not really a pleasant situation for white. King goes to h1, and then queen takes h4 check, and of course it's all over from here. I have won sort of like a 4 pounds already. Oh, there goes the cake. Yum yum. King g2, and simply bishop goes to b6, avoiding any attack, and at the same time giving way to the pawn at e4. And then if in case white is not responding properly, then I simply can move the pawn either forward, which is e4 to e3, and then there will be discover check. And it's basically really a lot of pressure, and white's king safety is actually being questioned at this time. So after, of course, after chewing all the pawns, it's very easy to sort of to weaken white king side. Now f4 was moved, of course, desperate attack, but of course, if in chess there is an en passant, and I simply can take that. He takes f3 in passing, and there is a bishop can still take there at f3, and bishop takes f3, rook takes, and of course after queen g4, which is a brilliant simple move, it's all over, I believe. White cannot really do anything. It's actually checkmate in 5 according to the engine. Bishop takes, sorry, bishop g3 just to block. Some water. Rook takes f3, and of course the safety of the bishop at g3 is questioned, and of course desperate attempt. Queen takes f3 was done, but afterwards, of course, white resigned simply because of it's just too overwhelming. And the next move, of course, you can realize it's actually rook takes f3, and it's all over. So thank you so much for playing with me, anonymous person, and I see you later. How do I stop? Okay.